This is the quote from Governor DeSantis about climate change. Quote, "I am not in the pews of the church of the global warming leftists." This is what he thinks about climate change. And now his state is getting hit with one of the worst hurricanes that they will ever see.
This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store. Get the merch link in the description section. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live and make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Let's get into this. I wanted to bring Carl in because he lives out there in Florida, and I'm sure, I'm almost guaranteed he can give better, more clear updates than I can give way from the state of Arizona. So welcome to the show, Carl Jackson.
Hey, Brandon, man, I appreciate you having me on.
It's my pleasure, man. How you doing out there? What's going on? Can you let the audience know what conditions are you guys in out there in Florida, given this storm has been just incredible?
Yeah, you know what? I got to tell you, thank you first and foremost, the Forgotten Man, and all of you guys for sending out prayers for me. I consider ourselves blessed compared to a lot of people that are around us. Our neighborhood is flooded where we can't get out of the neighborhood. Our backyard is flooded, but thank God the waters did not get to our home. We have electricity. We did not lose electricity except for a couple of times for a very short period of time. But honestly, man, I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a slow rebuild for a lot of people. The winds, thank God, weren't as strong as predicted. I'm in Central Florida in Orlando, so the winds weren't as strong for us, thank God. But Southwest Florida is in bad shape. But even right here in Central Florida, there's reports of water main breaks all around the place. A lot of people are literally trapped within their neighborhoods like we are right now as a result of flooding, where flooding is much worse. Even, I consider ourselves blessed. You have a big pickup truck, you can get out of my neighborhood, but there's neighborhoods nearby, and a family friend of ours whose home is just straight up submerged. So it's wow. A lot of people are going to be feeling a lot of pain. So it's not an easy day for a lot of people, but I got to tell you, I almost feel guilty, Brandon, because we have electricity, man. I feel bad. I feel bad. I'm thankful, but I feel bad because I know there's a lot of people that are hurting. A lot worse than me by far.
Yeah, Carl, and I think that, to me, that speaks to your character, man. You're such a genuine, great man, and your heart goes out to people. And, some people will be counting up all of their successes and not worried about other people. But, I could feel, the way you feel about it, man. We're here in Arizona. We haven't had a situation like that, but I know there's a lot of people, young people going to school. There's people who have lost everything, their pictures, their, memorabilia and different things that they've been collecting for years. And it's not like you can grab all that stuff and run, especially when the hurricane hit. What are some ways in which people can, I don't know if you know these off the top of your head. I know Ron DeSantis is doing a lot of good things, but do you know of anything specific where people can go to and try to help out with the relief there in the state of Florida?
I can tell you right now what they're asking a lot of people to do, simply because there is so much flooding. And, and I'm one, I like to go out and help people. If your neighbor needs help, I would say that's the best thing you can do. But it kind of, basically I'm following their orders of the leaders out here. Just kind of stay out of the way. Let the emergency people do their thing, the people that are trained to do. This is so different, man. It's been crazy. Literally, there's been a shark on the street. On the street, wow. There's lines that have been down. I just watched video of a freaking seal that was in someone's neighborhood. It is that insane. And a lot of people are trying to go out and do things that they probably shouldn't be doing. So I would just recommend that people, man, Governor Ron DeSantis has been on top of this. There's been a lot of lies about this guy not being on top of this kind of stuff. I can tell you honestly that, I almost thought he jumped the gun because the storm wasn't even formed. So I was like, man, he's a little early. I'm glad he was early because before the storm hit, I like going out and just surveying the area, to see what's going on. And I can tell you that people were already on lockdown. Most people seem to already have their supplies. So Floridians were well prepared. No one expected the rain to just hover. The winds and all that kind of stuff, it sucks. It stinks. Tree limbs may come down. You may get your roof blown off or shingles blown off. But with the water just setting, no one expected that. So I am thankful that he started the emergency orders really early. People were out getting the supplies they needed. So at least in that sense, I think there's fewer people or people suffering less than they would have been. But the floods are just devastating for people. That's just something I don't know that anyone can prepare for. So in this instance, so emergency vehicles, police officers, firemen, whatever crews need to come in so they can do their thing. They're just asking that people stay off the roads. And I just agree with them. If you can help your neighbor, help your neighbor. That's about all you can do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I know when I was a first responder, that's some of the things that we would always say is that, don't try to be a hero. There's other people who are trained professionals that can go out and they have resources and they have everything they need to do rescues and different things like that. I know that there's people who are emboldened for right reasons. They want to help their neighbor. They want to go help as many people as they can. But in reality, it's best to let the professionals do it unless you have some professional experience or you have the resources to help somebody in the general area. But how long have you lived in Florida, Carl? Are you a Florida native or have you just been there for a while?
No, I may as well be a Florida native because I was born and raised in L.A., but I moved to Florida over 20 years ago, man, and I love it here. I go back to L.A. I still have family in L.A., but I hate L.A. I'm so thankful. I love my family, but I hate L.A. So I'm so thankful that I'm out in Florida. It's a place that I thoroughly enjoy. It was a little hard for me at first adjusting because I was just used to living a different lifestyle. But God, this is where God radically changed my heart, my mindset.
Amen.
And once that happened, this is I feel like this is where I like to be. This is where I like to be.
And you've been there for about 20 years. Have you seen a storm this bad, or you think this has taken the cake? As far as severity, in preparedness is a different thing. Maybe other storms were worse because they were less prepared or whatever. But when you talk about severity, would you consider this to be the most severe storm that you've seen since you lived in Florida?
That's a really good question, and I'll tell you why. Because back in, I think it was 2004, we went through Hurricane Charlie, Francis, Jean. Those all happened within a month of each other. And I can recall the damage and the devastation. My wife, my daughter, we walked outside. Trees were all over the ground. We couldn't get out of our neighborhoods then because of the trees. And we always looked at that hurricane, at least for us, Charlie initially, as probably the worst and expected we wouldn't see anything as bad. And although, at least in this area now, in Southwest Florida, it's way worse. But
Carl, I got about 10 seconds left. I want to bring you back in the next segment. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have my good friend Carl Jackson on the line. Carl is the host of the Carl Jackson Show, and also he makes sure the boat is still rolling when I'm out of town here for this show. He does an incredible job every single time. You don't miss a beat. If anything, you probably get a couple beats ahead of the game when Carl fills in and does his thing. So y'all welcome back to the show, Carl Jackson.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Brandon. And I love the way you framed the question. As far, it's just different. This storm is just different. I mean, I experiencing Charlie, my family and I experiencing Francis and Jean and the outskirts of Ivan and all of these different storms, tropical storms in between. I can tell you they were really scary because with Charlie, the eye was literally over our home, and it felt like the roof was going to just be sucked off, and the wind was going to take us right along with it. So that was scary. But I just feel like this is worse because I'm just looking around, and I can look down the street, man, and it looks like, you go from corner to corner, and it looks like there's a lake at the end of the street that wasn't
Wow.
there. And I'm not even, and we don't have the worst of it. I'm looking when the Wi-Fi is up, and we can see some local news, man, it's so much worse. And I've gotten pictures of, again, family friends and stuff like that whose houses are just, they got a pond inside of their home. And I was really afraid that that's what was going to end up happening with us. And thank God it didn't. But I feel bad because I know people are really, really hurting. And it was so different with those other storms, as big and as bad and as scary as the wind was, and trees and power lines and all that kind of stuff. You felt more empowered because you could go out the next day and you could help you can help your neighbor, and we can help our neighbor here, our neighbors here to the best of our ability. There's tree limbs down and all that kind of stuff, and we'll be helping with that type of cleanup. But it's different because some people's lives are not going to be the same for months or even years. People have lost everything, and a lot more people have lost everything with this thing. The size of this storm in comparison to all those others, the wind was stronger on those once they hit landfall, but just the rain, how big the storm was and how long the rain just set over towns within Florida and cities and all that kind of stuff. It's just, the flooding is just something like I've never seen before. I've never seen anything like this before.
Well, Carl, do you think, in your honest opinion, do you think this has anything to do with global warming, climate change, or, something that a man has created? Is this preventable by man? What's your thoughts on that whole thing? Because the left is pushing that this is 100% Ron DeSantis' fault and all of the Republicans who have pickup trucks. That's kind of their theology. But what do you think? Do you think there is some merit to the global warming question as it relates to what happened here in Florida?
No, I absolutely do not. And I know you know this. Brandon. And they don't believe it. They don't believe it. The man-made global warming hoax is all about control, and we all know that. They go from fear. They go from crisis to crisis. The left does. They want to blame us. They want to blame. Governor DeSantis. They'll blame people like you. They'll blame anyone on the right for the things that are happening. Man, we live on a fallen planet. We're not in heaven. So we live on a fallen planet. Everything that the left claims that they want to do to make this world a safer place for the green energy and all that kind of stuff, that they implemented everything they wanted to implement, it would change the temperature by 0.01 degree over 100 years. And that's according to models. And I'll tell you this, I'll be honest with you, that's a really good question. But thinking about this kind of pisses me off, and I'll tell you why. I'm so happy that Florida doesn't rely on stupid wind and solar, because we would be far worse off than we are now if we had to rely on renewable energies. The sky has been gray all freaking day. So if we had to rely on their nonsense, we would be in far worse shape.
Wow, that's very interesting. Carl, thank you so much for coming on and joining. Thank you so much for filling in on the show, man. You do such an incredible job. Much love to you, man. You're one of my favorite people. Ladies and gentlemen, can you help me in thanking Carl Jackson, and make sure y'all go to thecarljacksonshow.com. That's where they can find you, Carl?
That's it, man. And I appreciate all you do. I appreciate the fight that you're putting up and helping all Americans in the fight for freedom. So God bless you, and it's an honor to fill in for you. So I appreciate you, man.
Amen. And we will keep praying for you and your family and everybody in Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to The Austin Tatum Show. I'll be back after the break.